Hey everyone. One of my good YouTube friends, Luke Batmanvideoreviews, tagged me in the to read pile tag. I have to read piles. Um, Hopefully they won't give me piles. No, bad joke. Um, Maybe some beer will help. I just got back from Maine, and it seems like every year when I get back from Maine, I then go to Trader Joe's and buy this Kennebunkport blueberry ale, which I've mentioned before. I enjoy drinking fruit ale during the summer. Beer flavored with fruit. So I've got a ton of to be read stuff. This may also serve as a bit of a haul. Plenty of this stuff I've probably shown before, but there are some new haul kind of stuff here. If you don't subscribe to Luke Batmanvideoreviews, I want to call him Derek Lucarelli. That was the mysterious name of his channel originally. Luke Batmanvideoreviews is much more accurate. Anyway, one of the newest additions to my to be read pile is a stack of Justice League United, which I won on eBay from a comic book mom, or from Audrey. And she has a eBay, I was going to say channel, an eBay store. She's selling off comics she doesn't want. I'd heard some interesting things about Justice League United that made me intrigued about it, maybe particularly from Carlos Infante and a few other people. It sounded like a fun series. So I bid on it. There was one other bidder. That person did not try to outbid me, so I didn't even hit my maximum bid. Sorry, Audrey. But despite that, despite the incredibly cheap price I got these for, she also sent me bonus copies, a bunch of one of my favorite DC Comics, Justice League 3000. By the way, all her comics were in fabulous shape. They were packaged really well. If you want to buy comics from Audrey on eBay, she's a great person to buy from. I already have these issues, but I'm excited to have doubles, actually, which is silly, but still. It was really cool of Audrey to send them, spreading around some good comics. So I think I still need a few issues of the Justice League United. It was written by Jeff Lemire, art by Mike McCone. I haven't even really looked inside yet. But I think Audrey was missing a few issues. So I knew that when I bought them. So I'll have to look around for issues 5 and 6. So I'll probably be dipping into those soon, but who knows? I get kind of sometimes overwhelmed just by my weekly pull, which is one reason these piles get so big. From an older pull is Ocean by Warren Ellis and Chris Sprouse. I bought, at some point at a comic book store, I bought a bundle of the whole series, 6-issue series. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm a Chris Sprouse fan. I'm a Warren Ellis fan, science fiction. So hopefully it'll be good. There's so much Warren Ellis out there that it's easy to have missed some. Lots and lots of Dark Horse Presents on my to be read pile. I tend to read one or two stories in them and then say, well, a lot of them have serialized stories, so I say, I'll read a bunch at once. But they're really piling up, and I haven't got around to reading more than a little bit in each issue. So these are just a sampling of them, because I think they're up to 12 issues. So I've got all 12 issues somewhere on a to be read pile. I bought giant size little A versus X Marvel by the wonderful Scotty Young. But when I bought it, my daughter said, I don't want to read that. She was in love with the original A versus X Little Marvel. I don't know what happened, why she didn't want to even look at this issue, so I kind of put it aside, hoping she'd want to read it later. Oops, it's hot in here. I'm fanning myself with it. Probably not good for it. But I'm looking forward to reading it myself. I guess they're up to issue 3 now, but I didn't buy the other issues. One disappointment is it said giant size, but it's not giant size. It's a regular comic. I guess giant size is just a joke. I'll probably eventually get the other issues, but maybe when my store has a sale or something. Okay, here's a very good comic that I kind of burnt out on after 4 issues. God Hates Astronauts. So I have the next 4 issues up to issue 8 to read, and then I took it off my pull list just because I wasn't getting around to reading it. It was kind of I really enjoyed it, but it's kind of exhausting to read and pointless. Hilarious, but pointless. So I felt in no rush to get back to it. But, maybe it develops in some way, in which, if it does, after these 8 issues, I suppose I could hunt up the other issues. But I feel like I can just, even the 4 issues I've already read, that, you can enjoy something but not have to read it forever, right? But I will eventually get to those God Hates Astronauts when I'm in the right mood. Egos is another currently running series. I don't think too many people are reading it. I read the first 5 issues. I guess I'm missing issue 7 is somewhere in my house. But I have 6 and 8 here. So I need to continue on the second arc that started in issue 5. It seemed pretty good. I don't know. Once I let it slip behind me, it just started piling up. So I want to get to that soon. Another one that I sort of I read the first 3 issues of Jason Aaron's Star Wars, and then I let them pile up. This is from one of my Marvel subscriptions, which I know other people have had bad luck with them, but I've had very good luck with subscribing to physical copies from Marvel. They're all in good condition. These aren't comics that I'm going to collect for a lifetime anyway. But I didn't want to wait for the Star Wars on the digital app, which is the main way I read Marvel now. So I got the subscription. But the subscription comics, I don't always get around to reading as much, again, as the stuff I get on a Wednesday from my comic book store. So that's kind of the problem where you get these to be read piles is the dominance of the Wednesday comics in my life right now. Another subscription I had to Marvel, but it's done now and I haven't renewed it, was to Savage Hulk. And they canceled Savage Hulk after issue 6. Savage Hulk was kind of a cool thing that was supposed to have 2, 3, 4 issue arcs, each by a different creative team. This arc teams up the Hulk with Doctor Strange, and it's by Gabriel Hardman and Karina Bechko. I love Gabriel Hardman art, but the same way because it came in sort of at random times as a subscription. I haven't gotten around to reading it. Then they canceled Savage Hulk. The last thing that was supposed to be in Savage Hulk was Jim Starlin's Hulk versus Thanos. They published that as its own separate thing. And then in their wisdom, the Marvel subscription department switched me over to Hulk, written by Jerry Duggan, drawn by Mark Bagley. It seems like a pretty good series, but I just haven't. I had to go back and read the issues I was missing in my Marvel app, and then I just never got around to reading all these physical books. So I think I have Hulk number 9 through 16 to read. Fun covers, actually. But I was subscribed to the Mark Waid Hulk series, and I didn't like it very much. I was liking that Savage Hulk series much better, but of course they canceled it. So I've got all these Hulks to read. I'm looking forward to it. I'm a Hulk fan. I wouldn't call it a guilty pleasure, but it's one of my light reading pleasures, and so I look forward to sitting down and reading these at some point. In this one, the Hulk is like super evolved and super intelligent, I believe. Much like myself. And he fights a bunch of other Hulk-related characters as he tries to cure them of being Hulk-related characters. Okay, here's another thing I got from eBay. I owned this whenever it came out, early 1980s is the date on the cover. No. This was an expensive comic book at the time, $3, when I think newsstand comics were about 75 cents, if I remember correctly, or maybe even 60. It's oversized but black and white. It was a 80s indie comic, Nexus. The first 3 issues came out in these large size black and whites, and then they rebooted into a color. But what this issue has is the flexi record inside, or they just call it a flexi, comics in stereo. And I want to re-listen to the issue. They read the issue to you with actors and music and sound effects. I'm hoping it'll work on my stereo. Maybe I can do a video about that someday. So yeah, this is. I have these issues in reprints, but I wanted the flexi disc, so I just ordered this issue. I think my bid was for $1 and a penny, and then the postage was something else. I think the whole thing came to $4 or $5. And then there was a sale at Tomorrow's, the publisher of sort of slick fanzines about the history of comics. So it was a 50% off sale, which also included the digital editions, which I like having on my iPad for things like this. So I got a bunch of back issues. That's 51, 59, not in any particular order. I just got ones whose subject matter interested me, like Space Ghost. I want to know more about Space Ghost. And this was their 100th issue, their 10th anniversary edition. And this was an issue that focuses on the British invasion, even though it's got Fantastic Four on the cover, so I don't know what the story is there. So this back issue is all about pretty much comics that I was reading as a kid and a teenager, because it focuses on the Bronze Age. And I think this is a Legion of Superheroes issue. So when I have time, I'm really looking forward to reading those. Okay, now on to the trades. Let me first show you 2 books that I'm currently reading. One is Sloth by Gilbert Hernandez. It's a really cool black and white comic originally published by Vertigo. But this is a very nice hardback, I guess, before DC went to cheaper hardbacks. About this guy who wills himself into a coma, and when he comes out of the coma, he does everything really slowly. And he's in a punk band, and he slows down their music. The name of the band is Sloth anyway, so that's fitting. Really enjoying this. Got distracted by this week's comics, but I was reading it recently. Then for my birthday, I got The Golden Age of DC Comics by Paul Levitt. It's a giant coffee table picture book. This is the dust jacket, which I've taken off because this beautiful gold dust jacket shows fingerprints all over. So it's got my fingerprints, my daughter's fingerprints, my nephew and niece's fingerprints, because we kind of have a vacation every year where the family get together, and my birthday always falls on that vacation. So I got this as a birthday present from my parents off of a list I provided them. This is the book without the dust jacket. Got a bit damaged in the shipping, but I decided not to worry about that. So I've just started reading it. A lot of the history I kind of know, but this fleshes it out even more. I'd like to get the edition of this book that also there's a Silver Age and a Bronze Age one. I'd like to get the Silver Age one too. I think the Silver Age might be most interesting. So that's currently being read by me, often when my daughter is playing Minecraft, which she just discovered from her cousins. And now a whole bunch of trades that I'd like to get to. I've got Shudder Volume 1. I think I read the first 2 issues of this. I'd like to read, and I decided to trade weight on it after that. Copperhead, I've heard so many good things about this from people, so I'm eager to get to that. Oh, I'm also in the middle of, I've been in the middle of reading for a long time, Justice League, the Trinity War. I took the dust jacket off, and it's been a little damaged by moisture or something. It's a little warped. It's pretty fun to read, but not nearly as good as all the indie books. Elric, the Ruby Throne. It's a Titan, very well priced. I think it was $12 without the discount. Hardcover graphic album, a translation of, I think, a French or some European version of Michael Moorcock's Elric. I like the look of it a lot. Haven't read it. Roche Limit. I read the first issue of Roche Limit. When it came out, I was uncertain about it, but I've heard other people talk who continued to buy it, liking it. So I decided to buy the first trade again. You know, the great value of Image trades. I've got the first 2 trades of Zero to read. I jumped into Zero basically on the issue that was after, on issue 11, thinking I could read it. Got more and more confused. I need to go back and read these trades. I've heard great things about Zero from Wednesday Serial and from Gore Vidal, but just haven't had time to get to them. I own Volume 1 and I have Volume 2 from the library. Maybe I will buy my own copy of Volume 2 at some point. I've had this for a long time, but I've been meaning to read it. Vampirilla, The Essential Warren Years, Volume 1. So it's all black and white stuff. It must be shrunk down a bit, which is unfortunate, from the original Warren magazines. But I didn't feel like hunting down all the Vampirilla issues, and this just seemed convenient because I wanted to find out more about Vampirilla. I bought other Warren magazines like Creepy and 1984 and Eerie and stuff when I was a kid, but I never got Vampirilla. Maybe they were too obviously sexual on the covers for me to think I could get past my parents. Snowpiercer, the original graphic novel that was turned into a film, book 1. There is at least a book 2. I think this is translated. I've heard really good things about this, just haven't got around to. Yep, translated. I'm not sure from what language, but judging by the names, I would think French. It's also in black and white. There's a comic book hiding inside. Lobster Johnson. That should be on my to-read too. Also, I think I bought this for $1 somewhere, and thought I would try it. This black and white art doesn't immediately grab me, but maybe once I get sucked into the story, it'll appeal to me. It looks like a whole bunch of people just. I guess this is why I haven't plunged into it. It just looks like people on a train talking, one after the, page after page, mostly people talking. So it's not visually appealing at first glance, anyway. Speaking of Europe, I have 2 of these slender volumes of Storm, and I got them. I think I bought them on Amazon. I've been trying to find Storm for a long time. I put off buying some, and then I noticed the prices had gone way up. It's a British artist, I think originally written in Dutch, I want to say. So it seems really hard to get a hold of the British versions, and they're very expensive. I've seen videos where people show incredible art from Storm. The art in this one looks okay. Doesn't look that incredible. I wonder if this is a later one. I can't really tell where it falls into the Storm world, the Storm series. I read part of this a long time ago, and then I bought the hardback, and I just never got around to reading it. But although it's by one of my favorite artists, Francavilla. Don't know if he's as good of a writer as he is an artist, but certainly I should have read this a long time ago. Speaking of great artists, Bernie Wrightston with Steve Niles in something called City of Others. I don't know what it's about. I just grabbed it because of the creative team. I'm sure it's a spooky horror story, right? With those two people working on it. I've got Hell Yeah from Image also. The same writer as in Shudder, Keatage. I'm not familiar with the artist. It looks kind of cool and fun and crazy, but I haven't read it. And also by Keatage and Ross Campbell, whose art I loved on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It looks kind of different here. I think this was a Rob Liefeld character that they revived. And I think it was critically well received, but obviously didn't sell really big, and so they didn't continue it too long. I think, is this the first Casanova book by Matt Fraction and Gabriel Ba called Luxuria, or is it just the beginning of an arc of books, a series? I think it's the first Casanova. The art inside's pretty cool. I started it a long time ago, like years ago, and didn't get very far. So I put it on my be read pile fairly recently because I meant to get back to it. Now, back when I bought it, I don't think I even knew who Matt Fraction was particularly. And then I have The Underwater Welder by Jeff Lemire that everyone says is really good. I don't know why I've been kind of reluctant to dive into it. Maybe it's the black and white. It's funny, sometimes I love black and white, other times it makes it hard for me to get into a comic book. So that's the end of my graphic novels on my to be read pile. Thought I'd also mention I'm still kind of thumbing through my comic book price guide from 1977. And I've been meaning to start on this, which I got through eBay very cheaply. I think I thought I was buying a hardcover. I might go back and get a hardcover. This looks like maybe it's one of those paperback editions that they did for a book club or something. I don't know. It feels very cheap. And the publisher is listed as Kraus, which I haven't heard of. But this was back, I had this when I was a kid, All in Color for a Dime. There was All in Color for a Dime and another book that was a sequel to it, or maybe this was a sequel to that one. There were these two books out about the Golden Age of comics, and they were pretty much the only books around about the Golden Age of comics that I knew of when I was a kid, and so I wanted to try rereading it now. It's got, I think it's got Harlan Ellison in it, Dick Lupoff, Don Thompson, Roy Thomas, Ron Goulart, and Harlan Ellison, yes. Writing articles about comics that they remember fondly from the Golden Age of comics. So, yeah, wish I had time to just take a week and read most of these books and not go to work and not be on a vacation with my family. Maybe someday that'll happen. Or maybe that's what they call retirement or forced unemployment. Anyway, big thanks to Luke for tagging me. I've been tagged in this is pretty late to the tag. There's some other tags from even longer ago that I've been meaning to do and just didn't. I hope to get to some of those. A lot of my good friends have tagged me, and I feel bad for not getting back to the tags. So, talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.